Don People's Deadbolt. Let's talk about it. So let's get into this new Hulu is releasing the Freaknik documentary, executive produced by Jermaine Dupri and my main man, Uncle Luke. Now, the Freaknik, man, for y'all who don't know, was a legendary time in 90s history where people got together in Atlanta, Georgia, and was turning up before the word turn up. And a lot of it went undocumented, so we thought. So as they dig up the fossils of the Freaknik to present to you on Hulu, they're running into a lot of backlash about this situation because people who are involved now are obviously parents and grandparents, doctors, lawyers, politicians, and a lot of other things that they don't want their past when we were able to be free without being judged or doing it for the gram. They don't want that shit put out here like for some fame and fortune and they ain't getting a dime off of it at that. And this would also, I feel, expose the 90s culture for sex, drugs, and hip hop because it was a legendary time, man. This you got to understand style and fashion as far as in hip hop was just coming about. You know, the music was telling the story, was the backdrop to the life. Riding around with your sounds, riding around with your KMCs, your Daytons, your tops dropped, you know, your clothes slightly baggy, and you was lucky to have a cell phone. Most people obviously had pen and a pad, and they was going around getting as many numbers as you can get, and everything was just so organic at that time. You know, I remember being a shorty, being down at these festivities, man, and just being at awe. You know, I mean, especially now I didn't go to the 94, 96, or 97 for sure, but you know, these legendary times back when, you know, everything was organic, man, and it wasn't really about, you know, trying to, you know, do it for social media or things of that nature. And this was a time that, you know, everybody wants to hold sacred and just have conversations about and reminisce about. You don't want that, you know, put back out into the people's mind and like, yeah, this is how my mom used to get down or this is how auntie was getting down. But yeah, I mean, we were the trendsetters of all this. Like everything that you seeing now, I mean, it wasn't as live now as it was then because everything was fresh. You know what I'm saying? Cops wasn't jamming the parties and shutting stuff down before they start like they do now. Like, you know, things was moving and people were able to shake a different way. And like I said, you wouldn't know unless you were there. You know, things traveled word of mouth, but it wasn't a lot of footage and things to show to make you say, oh, yeah, I got to be at the next one. It was just something that, you know, the homies would come back and talk about, and you would see the glow on their face when they seen the shorties, man, with the cut off jean shorts, you know, tight little dresses and all like that. And they was bending over and they was being nice and super friendly. And these was women from all across the world. I mean, I'm sorry, across the country. You feel what I'm saying? Coming down to this Freaknik down in Atlanta. And this, like I said, was before being able to connect on a MySpace or a Facebook or later on an Instagram or, you know, any of these dating sites and stuff. It was, you know, you had to be there to really know what it was. And I think the people who are there, or I'm sorry, who were there, feel violated about it. They're, you know, being reshown in this light because it really, if you think about it, everybody now is really parents and grandparents. And when you see your former relatives, I mean, I'm sorry, your relatives, you know what I'm saying, kicking it on this type of time, you know, it make you kind of, you know, say, well, how can you check me when you used to be like this? You know, some things you want to keep buried in the closet. Like you don't want to just keep, things around to where somebody can judge you. You know what I'm saying? You want to leave this, like what happens at Freaknik stays at the Freaknik, and I think Hulu is exposing, what it was back then, because what it was a lot of sex, it was a lot of drugs, and it was fueled by hip hop and, the Luke era and, girls getting nasty. That's what I'm saying. A lot of the music that's getting played now ain't really no different from what was going on back then. I mean, it was music for you if you wanted it to listen to that type of music. I mean, Too Short, like I said, Luke, Two Live Crew. I mean, it was a lot of booty shaking, and Atlanta was known for the booty shaking back then. They had a lot of booty shaking music and all that type of shit going on. So like the songs now, maybe they're a little bit different, but not too much, man. We really started this freak, be yourself, do as thou wilt type time, and we showed y'all this in the, what I'm saying, Freaknik, and when we got together in public scenes, this is what we chose to do. We pop our trunks, we getting liquored up, you know what I'm saying? And even before that, niggas was drinking St. Ives, Four Locos. I mean, all type of stuff was going on back then. You was just able to be yourself. And I think everybody, man, who was kicking it then really just want to keep it in that era, in that time, and don't want to get exposed for doing the drugs and what we was listening to, and you know what I'm saying, and the sex and everything else, and I think that's why a lot of the, like they say, the aunties and the uncles and your mamas, your daddies, everybody's in an uproar about this Freaknik documentary, and I'm anxious to see, what's going to be on there. But it's just going to be, I feel, just a lot of unseen footage, and Luke and Jermaine Dupri obviously giving the tale of what it was like to grow up and go to the Freaknik back in '94, and do the series of the Freaknik. And even though they've tried to reincarnate it a couple of times, it'll never be like the originals, because this is when everything was organic, and this is why I love my generation, because man, we was trendsetters. We started everything when it comes to this ratchetness that y'all praise so much now. You know what I mean? So shout out to the Freaknik, man. Like, this is gonna be legendary right here, and I'm excited to see it. And I think it's gonna show the dark side of the other side of the game, because best believe it was a lot of fun going on, but it was a lot of shit going on too. The girls, they shaking and they doing all like that, but niggas was taking advantage. You already know, women left with shit, STDs and babies and everything else. Niggas getting robbed. It was crazy back then too. It just went all undocumented until now. But y'all get in the comment box, man. I want to hear what y'all think. Do y'all feel that this documentary is needed? We need to revisit the legendary Freaknik in Atlanta. Or do you feel like they need to keep it and keep it locked in the vault, and this just needs to be a part of Black culture, Atlanta history, hip hop history? And does this also expose the other side of the game? The sex, the drugs, and the hip hop that fueled it. Y'all let me know, man. But y'all like, subscribe, share, hit the notification tab so y'all can tap in every time I drop a video. It's your boy Don Peoples. Deadbolt. Go.